Welcome back. I'm Tara and this is part 3 of my Adobe XD components tutorial. Today I'm focusing on information cards, particularly with nested components. So what do I mean by info cards? Cards are a common UI pattern. They're found on websites like Amazon, Quora, and LinkedIn, and they're used to quickly convey a variety of information and actions. So to demonstrate, I built this card for a fictional stylist. I found this beautiful image on Unsplash. I gave her a fake name, gave her a fake bio, and gave her a couple of services. So if we want to, and to start, I already started making this component. So we have the stylist card, which is this main block. We have a few elements in here that aren't components, but then we have a few that actually are. Let's start here at the bottom with the services. So the services are really, they're just tags. They're indicating possibly what we could be booking for. I thought it would be a good functionality that if we wanted to select one or more services, we could be able to see a different chunk of time opposed to if we left it with no information. So let's have a look here. So we have a couple of things going on. We have the default state, which is this little gray tag, hover state, with this is darker gray, and then an active state, still gray. We have a theme here, but just a little lighter than the hover. And what happens is, if we go preview, we can come here and you can see that these are all hoverable. I can click on one, I can click on two, I can click to deactivate them because they're tags. That's how they were designed, which is really great functionality of components. As I drop down here, you can see that I added a little animation to the button, and I did that very simply with a background and a mask around it, and then an auto animate. And you know what? I want this to go a little slower. I want my tags to be very quick on animation, but we're going to make the hover. So with the button selected, I'm going to move over and we're going to go to the hover state with the hover, and then we're going to go with the tap trigger. And you can see we have our auto animate and hover state, and it's set to 3 seconds, but we're just going to slow this down to 6. And as you go back to our preview, it's a little slower coming in. Really fast, or should be fast. It's just a little slow. Okay, now that we have that done, let's take a look at our star rating. So, you know what? I actually don't want the master component for my star rating to be in here. So let's actually select, and we're going to edit our master component. And I moved it off to the side already. And I did this by cutting it out, pasting it back in. And it's a little complicated, but there was a reason for it. If we go back to, we go back to design. It's like, where are my buttons? We go back to design. I'm just going to add a little fill over below just so that we can see what's happening here. So with our star rating, we have just let's not make her 5 stars. So we have a masked, and we're just going to name this star rating. And with the mask selected, I can actually change the amount. Let's go, yeah, she's 4 stars. She's good, she's okay, and she's 4 stars, and she's based on 38 reviews. We'll just hide the border there just to make it a little prettier, and that's, but you know what? I did that wrong. I really did. So let's go back because we had this default. So let's change it back. We still want the mask. We'll still name the mask, but we're not going to actually change the content here. We're going to change the content in our card. So again, we moved our master off to the side of the page. And now I can select this one, still masked. One more click in to make sure we're on the right one. And we're gonna, about halfway there. She's about 4.5 rating based on, let's go 31 reviews. Yeah, she's pretty well liked. And again, we might want to add some hover over here and make it so that you can select on your own rating. For right now, we're just going to show what other people have rated. But we are going to favorite her. So she's going to be our favorite hairstylist, which means that if I'm using an app for a salon, I know which stylist I like, and they're the ones that I can find very easily. So we're going to add a new hover state. And again, we're going to make this just a little bit bigger. And we're going to move it off to the side, and we're going to make the opacity really big. And then we're going to add a focus or an active state. And the fill is going to be white. And now we can go back to our prototype. With our default state selected, we have the hover. We're gonna make this this is a quick bounce, and we're gonna make it bounce. And now hover. You know what? Something's going a little weird, and I think I know what it is. I think it's where I'm moving the center to. So I might end up having to add another box here. So we're gonna go back to our design. We're gonna add fill. You know what? Let's try to do pixel perfect. So we're gonna make 25 by 25. You know what? We're gonna need a little bigger. So let's go 30 by 30. And we're just gonna add that there. Take off the opacity, and we're gonna drop it into our rating. And then we're just gonna ensure that's centered. And now we'll copy this rectangle, go back to prototype, move over to our default state, add that back in, and now we can center that heart. And we're just, you know what, going to delete the active state right now, and then we're just going to make a new active state. And now we can go to prototype, select this. We have our default state, hover, and our active. And with that selected, we'll add a new interaction with a tap, going to active state. Again, with hover, with the active state selected, we'll go to hover, add our hover state, auto animate with our bounce, and tap, auto animate, and we're going to go back to our default state. So we have 2 clicks. So we have 1 click to get to active, 1 click to go back. And now if I'm back into design, we're back to active. Let's make our active solid. Maybe give it a little drop shadow just to make it pop a little bit. And now we can preview this with default. So let's take a look at our card one more time. So we have this nice little animation, which I can reuse over and over again. So every single one can have this nice little pop animation. get our little bounce on our click. A nice little heartbeat on our heart. Our tags can be selected. Tags can be selected. Our check can be checked, and that'll take us into our next menu, our next artboard. So before, when I would design something like this, I would need multiple artboards in order to demonstrate some of this functionality. And then I wouldn't have all of the micro interactions I can do now. Now that I can nest components within each other components, I can make it so that this background hovers when I go on top of it. So if I wanted to, I can go back here and I can actually make this background a component. And you know what? When I'm selecting on it, it's going to hover and it's going to, and the background, the shadow is going to go a little further back and it's going to tighten up and it's going to be darker. So. And now I can preview this. And it's hover and it doesn't affect anything else. But the great thing about this is I can actually make options for it. So now that I have all of the little animations within, I'm actually going to make a copy of this card and I'm going to make it for disabled. So you know what? Unavailable. So now that I have selected, we're going to actually change this one to disabled. No availability, and great. Now we have available, not available. Of course, there's going to have to go back and change some of these already custom options, but you can see how you can set up two different defaults. For example, I created a scoring system the other day that I wanted a card for final games, upcoming games, and in progress games, and they both use the same card system. They just functioned a little differently. It was a little tricky to get them set up and get them working properly, but once they were done, they saved a ton of time and they just made everything so much more consistent. So this is the card system. This is what you can do with components in Adobe XD, and you can just get so much more functionality where you can demonstrate to a user and they can click on the different things that they'd be able to click on in the app that might have taken a lot more work to produce in the past. So that is my third tutorial video. Thank you again for watching. If you haven't had a chance yet, go back and check out my first two videos on creating a simple toggle and creating some button animations. I think from now I'm going to go on to doing the same thing, multiple component states, but focusing on designing them for form functionality. So you can demonstrate a form for your users. Thanks again for watching. If you like the video, please favorite it. You can follow me if this is interesting to you. They're very simple tutorials to begin with. I'm going to try to get a little more complex as I move on. And I'm hoping I can get the production quality better on these. They're still little clicks and noises I'm trying to get rid of. All right. Have a great day. Bye.